On this episode of MythBusters, Adam and Jamie go full throttle for the most dangerous stunt in MythBusters history.
Did such an aggressive wheelie his head fell off.
Testing the viral video that a motorcycle could surf the surface of a lake.
I want to try it.
But will it be man over bike?
Could he plant himself right here and just start flying?
Or will Jamie torque on water? Meanwhile, Carrie, Tori, and Grant get the drop on a free-for-all.
God, I don't even want to know what the G's are on that.
Finding out if a criminal could make a parachute out of the paraphernalia inside a hotel room.
What is that, the new fall fashion?
Ah!
But will their crazy canopies
Be a lot of wet floors with all these shower curtains missing.
let Busters skydive and survive?
Come on! Open!
Who are the MythBusters? Adam Savage
This is science in action.
and Jamie Heineman.
Bye-bye!
Between them, more than 30 years of special effects experience. Together with Grant Imahara.
That is crazy!
Carrie Byron. And Tori Belleci.
It's about to get real.
They don't just tell the myths, they put them to the test.
Jamie, you remember when Cary Grant and Tori did the episode about a sports car skipping across a lake?
I do.
50 miles an hour! That car didn't skip, it flipped!
We got one similar to that this time, except this time it's a motorcycle riding on the water.
A motorcycle actually riding on top of water.
Apparently, we got a motorcyclist. He's riding down the freeway way too fast. He comes to a bend, and when he comes to the bend, he can't make it, so he plows right through it, and there is a lake, except that he stays on top of the lake and makes it safely to the other side.
Sounds dangerous and fun. I'm in.
Excellent.
Motorbikes and water seem like a catastrophic combination. Yet according to this myth, if you take the lake at freeway speeds, you could burn aqua all the way to the other side. But will this physics-defying feat prove more sink than skim?
Clearly, this episode ends with one of us, I'm guessing it's you, riding a big, powerful motorcycle and attempting to keep it on top of the water.
Yeah, but I don't think we should just jump right into this because it involves high speed, crashes, drowning, broken bones. It's risky.
All right, well, they do make some very powerful RC motorcycles. Let's say we take one of those out into the field, ride them over a small body of water, and see what we can learn on the high-speed camera.
Sure, why not?
And we're not going to be going stampeding towards full scale right away in this story. We've come to a basically off-road motorcycle park not far from the MythBusters shop, and we're going to be doing a little bit of experimenting with these.
These are little radio-controlled motorcycles, and they happen to have a gyroscope in the rear wheel to help them stabilize as they go. The top speed on them is about 20 miles an hour. What that'll do in water, I have no idea, but that's what we're here to find out.
Indeed, but before they test the waters, first up, it's a dirt bike dress rehearsal.
We're not driving riderless bikes. Oh no, we've got avatars.
Do we have to have these things on these bikes?
Dude, don't worry at all. Once we start these up, you'll be driving right out of the uncanny valley, I promise. 3, 2, 1.
The goal of this tiny tournament is to see who makes the best RC rider.
Oh.
Because that MythBuster will then propel the mini pilot across the pond.
Ouch!
And although both struggle to stay up, the eventual winner is Jamie, by a head.
I got no head. I'm driving around in circles.
So while he hones his hooning,
How am I supposed to drive with no head?
Adam's overflowing with excitement.
Well, our scaled bikes require a scaled pool, and that's just what this is. With a nice gentle transition over there, it's only a couple of inches deep, and with the aid of our high-speed camera, hopefully it will illuminate some key things we need to know about whether or not bikes can stay on top of the water.
And with the H2O ready to go, it's time for the wheels to meet the water.
Here we go.
All right.
But will the bike surf the surface?
Just a little bit of a false start. This is very tricky, but Jamie has years of experience operating RC vehicles under adverse conditions. Oh. Give him time, give him time.
Sorry.
It's not a good start.
Yeah, oh, come on, come on!
But come hell or high water, Jamie's not giving up.
Oh! Nice! Mr. Heineman delivers. No riding a bike through water, he wheelies through water.
It's not quite the wheel deal, as this myth is about skimming on two wheels, not one. But luckily, they don't have long to wait.
Yeah, this is it. Woo!
As the Heineman masters the two-wheel maneuver. And 4 triumphant trips later, it's time to see if the bike's riding the top of the pond or the bottom, thanks to the high-speed review.
Let us see what we can learn.
Wow. Sort of on the surface right in the beginning because it's coming off of that initial ramp. The rear wheel is down, though.
And it's going down further.
At this point, it's clear that both wheels are down.
It is definitely deep in the water. It's almost deep enough where I could say it really feels like it's riding on the bottom.
It's not the news they were looking for. On each and every run, their bike is driving through the water and not over it.
Oh!
And that means for this myth to stay afloat, Adam and Jamie are going to need a plan B. Next, Carrie, Tori, and Grant shoot the breeze.
All right, so this next one sounds like a Hollywood action movie, but apparently it's totally legit.
All right, let's hear it.
All right, so wanted criminal, surrounded by police, tracked down to the 20th floor of a hotel. After a protracted negotiation, they break down the door and guess what they find?
Money, jewels.
Yes, but also a homemade parachute.
That one sounds familiar. The guy was stuck in his hotel room for 3 hours, and he started making a homemade parachute out of sheets and shower curtains, but he never made the jump because the police broke in and caught him before he could.
So he never jumped. We don't know if the parachute actually works.
Exactly. Can you make a homemade parachute out of things you can find in a standard hotel room?
Cool.
Yep, this audacious escape escapade comes straight from the criminal mind. Supposedly, this bad guy was going to wing it with a makeshift chute. But could he have defeated gravity for this getaway? Is there any way an improvised parachute could let you down safely?
All right, guys, how about this? We get all of the standard contents from a hotel room, drapes, sheets, shower curtains, lamp cords, and then we have 3 hours to build a parachute.
Well, that's great. We can connect each of our chutes to Buster and drop them from 20 stories, just like in the myth.
All right, well, we better get cracking. The police are on their way. Where's he going?
Yep, first it's a build-off or shootout.
We're working on the myth that you can make a parachute out of common things you might find in a hotel room. Now, that gives us so much material. We've got the bedding on the beds, the curtains, the blackout curtains, the rods, the strings, any cords you could find from lamps or TVs or Ethernet cables, and the wealth that is the bathroom. I mean, we have shower curtains, towels, anything you can think of.
Now, we have 3 hours to do this because the burglar only had 3 hours to see which of us could come up with the most successful parachute.
And the clock starts now. So the first decision is to choose their weaving of choice.
So what I'm gonna use is this blackout curtain. It's fabric coated by plastic. That's gonna give me a lot of wind resistance. And not only that, that plastic coating is gonna give me more strength.
Hopefully this will work. I'm starting out with the lightest, least porous materials that I could find, which are the shower curtains, the liners. I'm going to attach them and make them the base of my parachute. I figure they'll hold the air the best.
So what I'm doing is using these curtain rods to make a frame. And then from that, I'm going to drape this duvet cover over it. Now, the reason I chose a duvet cover as opposed to regular sheets is I didn't want to sew any seams. I think if I have any seams in there, it's going to be not as strong.
Indeed, because strength is vital, considering what their improvised chutes have to mimic.
Now, the way a parachute works is by increasing the surface area of a falling object, so that way it has more contact with air. And it's this air resistance that decelerates the terminal velocity of a human from 120 miles an hour to less than 5 miles per hour for a soft landing. So that's what we're trying to match.
Yep, it's a head-to-head challenge that's going to require some clever crafting.
Whoa, what hotel are you staying in? The Ritz?
I don't know, this looks more like the kind of hotel where you could rent the hot tub by the hour.
And each Mythbuster is opting for a different shape of canopy.
It's quite a challenge, especially with shower curtains and sheets.
Grant's going for 144 square feet of fabric,
I already ripped it. It's not a good thing.
while Carrie is sewing sheets into a more traditional dome design.
I'm using the cord from the curtains to tie it together, and then I'm leaving a hole right in the middle so that it should sail down straight. If that doesn't work, I'm going to tie a pillow to my head like a helmet.
And Tori is patching together a rectangular chute.
So we're already 1 hour into this challenge, and I'm looking at the size of my parachute. I don't think this is gonna be good enough. I don't think I'm gonna get this done.
It's my harness.
What is that, the new fall fashion?
As each fall fashion comes together
It's starting to look like a parachute.
and the deadline approaches, so do the problems.
Great, I've made a tent. All right, so the problem I have right now is I've got too much fabric and not enough supporting rod. And if I have too much fabric, it's likely to go flapping all around it. So to get rid of the fabric, that means I have to cut it and sew. Hate sewing.
Okay, time pressure is starting to get to me because I just don't think I can get this done. I don't think I can get this done in 3 hours.
With less than 5 minutes to go, the guys race to stitch up this challenge.
So what I've done is I've ripped out all the electrical wiring in my hotel room. Saw MacGyver do this once, and I'm gonna use that as my stringers for my parachute. I am feeling pretty darn confident.
And with some last-minute adjustments,
If this is nodding on the ground, what's it gonna do in the air? Oh man, I got 60 seconds.
the cutting, taping, sewing, and sweating comes to an end.
And done.
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 3 hours, 3 Mythbusters, and 3 hotel rooms full of fabric later, and they've got 3 parachutes ready for the drop zone.
You might think it looks a little flimsy, but hey, it's only got to work once.
Is this gonna save Buster's life? I don't know. But if I had to jump off a building and I had a choice between no parachute and this parachute, I guarantee you I'll take this choice. Wow, Carrie, that's a nice looking parachute you made.
Dude, it actually looks like a parachute.
Yeah, it's an artistic rendition of a parachute. Let's see if it actually flies like one.
All right, you ready?
Let's do it.
All right.
It's a myth that's hell on 2 wheels. But could a motorbike ever turn motorboat? Well, so far, you can lead a bike to water, but you can't make it skim. However, all is not lost.
Well, I, for one, learned a lot from that test.
Yeah, who knew that you could wheelie across water and your head would fall off?
Look, I want to somehow see if a motorcycle wheel at speed gains real buoyancy on the water's surface. But how are we going to get one of these going 60 or 70 miles an hour on water under controlled conditions?
Well, riding on water says boat to me, so why don't we hang the wheel off the side of a boat?
They make boats that go 70 or 80 miles an hour?
You bet they do.
Yep, with top speeds of over 90 miles per hour, powerboats sure can pace across a pond. But before they feel the need for speed, first they need to rustle up the wheel in the water.
What you got?
Well, at its most basic, this is the boat. This is the motorcycle wheel and scale to that boat. Obviously, it can sit in the water like this, and when we get up to speed, if the wheel does get buoyancy, it would rise up. And then the question is, how much weight can it support? And that's where this comes in. We can put on barbell weights of various sizes
Okay,
until we determine how much weight.
sure.
I think this is pretty straightforward.
It may be straightforward for Adam, but for the rest of us, here's a graphic. The weight of a motorbike means that in water, it'll sink. But if its wheels were spinning at highway speeds, could that keep it afloat? To find out, the plan is to attach a motorbike wheel to a speedboat. Then, as the boat accelerates, the wheel should spin up onto the surface. But will it stay above water as the weight of a rider is added to it? It's a dastardly design. But in the workshop, Adam's galloping through the build.
I don't know, for some reason it reminds me of a horse rearing up. A horse made of steel.
And before you can say chrome pony, his steel rim rig is ready to saddle up.
Well, the rig is finished, and it is pretty much my wooden rig writ large with a few modifications. A motorcycle wheel sits on an axle and spins freely. This rig will boat to the speedboat, and the speedboat will go in this direction. In this neutral configuration, the wheel weighs 25 pounds, but I can add weight to the rig to equate to the weight of both the motorcycle and the rider. Now, if there's anything to this story at all, when the speedboat gets up to speed, this wheel should rise out of the water and sit on top of it.
That's the theory. And at a local lake, it's time to put it to the test.
The open air, the sun, there's just nothing not to love about boating, honestly.
Let's get this thing in the water.
Okay. This here is our test platform, 20 feet long with a 300 horsepower outboard engine and a tunnel hull design. She is built for racing, built for speed, and will go between 85 and 90 miles per hour. Perfect for our testing purposes. First up, we need to get our rig bolted to it.
The plan here is simple. Bolt the wheel to the boat.
I claim this scientific rig in the name of MythBusters.
Lower the boat into the water.
Perfect.
And then take it for a spin.
Let's get this party started.
All right.
Are you ready?
Ready.
But almost immediately, it's clear that there's a problem. The tail end is so heavy that the boat's not only taking on water,
You're spilling water over the side there.
its top speed has plummeted.
Right now, our rig is providing so much drag on the engine that we need to get it a little bit above the water just to start the experiment. We're still working out a few kinks.
Like not sinking.
The solution is to trim the fat,
There you go.
as all excess weight, including Adam, switches ships.
All right, we produced 400 pounds out of our boat. Now we're gonna see if we can get that rig up on a plane.
But even with a lighter load, the wheel is still sitting so deep that it's a real drag.
This boat has a top speed of like 85 miles an hour, and right now it's not going much more than 10 because of all the drag.
Their only option now is to head back to land and tweak the tackle.
We've run into a little snag with our rig. It is so deep in the water, it actually doesn't allow the engine to push the boat up onto a plane. So we're gonna stick it up a little bit, we're gonna raise it up, try again. That's all we can do.
Although failure is always an option,
3, 2, 1, go.
Adam's adamant that this rig can work.
I can't see a reason why this shouldn't work.
But back in the water, will it be plain sailing?
Try this again.
Okay.
Second time's a charm.
Like last time, the boat chugs to the start line. But when it's full steam ahead,
Yeah.
Yeah.
the boat is still dragging its wheels. Which means it's time for Plan C.
Come on! Our problem is there's so much drag, the boat's not able to get up on a plane where it sits on top of the water. That's where the real speed happens. Jamie's gonna crawl up to the bow, I'm gonna rig the wheel up, and we'll see if it works.
So with Jamie clinging on as a counterbalance,
I've actually done this before to hang on top of a car.
it's the moment of truth.
Okay.
All right, here we go. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on!
At first, it all hangs in the balance. But when Adam gives the wheel a heave, they finally pick up speed.
There it goes.
As the boat clocks 50, then 60 miles per hour. It's clear that the wheel is riding the water, which is great for the myth. What's less great is that this crazy contraption is so dangerous
That's scary!
that the guys decide to quit while they're ahead.
All right, I've got some good news and some bad news. I am going to start with the bad. The bad news is that our rig didn't quite work as planned. We had really wanted to start to add weight and experiment with different speeds of the boat to come up with a graph of speed to weight ratio that would tell us exactly how fast we'd have to hit the water at for the motorcycle wheel to support its rider. And we didn't quite get that. The good news is that even though it took everything we had, we were able to get the boat up on a plane and the wheel skipping across the water, which means that there is something to this, and it means we can proceed with some confidence to full scale that this might just work.
Cornered by the cops, could you improvise a parachute, defeat the free fall, and flee to freedom? To find out, Carrie, Tori, and Grant have unraveled the ripcord and now have 3 makeshift chutes to deploy.
It's time to find out if any of our do-it-yourself hotel parachutes can decelerate Buster gently to the ground. We've come out to Treasure Island on a beautiful day with a crane that can lift him 20 stories into the air. We're going to drop him with each of our designs, but first, the control. No parachute.
Now, to find out exactly what Buster is going to be experiencing in this drop, we're going to attach an accelerometer. Now, for him to survive this fall, he has to withstand less than 100 Gs. For him to survive the fall without injury, he has to withstand less than 10 Gs.
Don't look so sad, buddy.
Yep, once again, Buster will have to do what he does best and take the fall from 200 feet.
All right, here we go. Bye-bye, Buster, in 3, 2, 1.
What the G's are on that.
Well, thanks to the accelerometer,
All right, see what we got.
it's easy enough to find out.
Wow, look at that. 500 Gs.
And he hit the ground at 83 miles an hour. He definitely did not survive that.
But will jumping from 20 stories with a homemade chute be any better?
Here's why we're hoping our parachutes will work. Gravity acts on all objects, no matter how much they weigh, causing them to fall at the same rate.
Go, go, go!
The only reason why 2 objects won't fall at the same rate is because of air resistance. These 2 pieces of paper, in fact, do weigh the same amount. But this one has a lot more surface area. It has to push a lot more air molecules out of the way to fall down, and thus, in order for this myth to be confirmed, this is what our parachutes will have to do.
You ready?
I'm ready.
And first to attempt that is Tori's blackout curtain canopy.
That's something you don't see every day.
Blackout curtain parachute drop in 3, 2, 1.
Amazingly, Tori's chute deployed and slowed Buster down, but unfortunately, not enough to head off the impact.
Oh, Buster lost his head.
And his hand!
That is a bad sign.
So we just dropped the blackout curtain parachute, and there's some good news, but there's some really bad news. The good news is the parachute opened and it decelerated Buster's descent. However, the bad news, when he hit the ground, he hit it with 160 Gs. That's well over 100 Gs, therefore Buster is dead.
That brings the curtain down on Tori. But Grant's frame-up is still to go.
We got a technical difficulty. Oh boy.
Okay.
Trouble in MythBuster land. The wind has picked up, and apparently Grant's rig does not like that.
Had to be a windy day, didn't it?
This is not looking good. Grant's got his panic face on.
Hey.
Things are breaking, bending, the whole frame's collapsing. We haven't even gotten in the air yet.
Just-
Let go. I don't like it when he makes that face. It means things aren't going well.
Yep, Grant and his frame are all bent out of shape. But can the parachute still bring Buster down safely?
Look, it's Batman!
You guys.
He's gonna be flat man in a second.
Oh, man.
Oh, boy.
Here we go. This is canopy parachute. In 3, 2, 1. What?
Hey! Hey! Hey!
I'm thinking, there's no way. This thing is going to drop and just collapse, and it's gonna go straight down. But astoundingly, it actually did manage to deploy kind of like an umbrella folding open. Whether it saved him, I really don't think so.
Yep, as it turns out, that was an impact of 144 Gs, a quarter of the control, but still a lethal landing.
He hit the ground at 29 miles an hour. That is well above our benchmark of 100 Gs, which is survivable.
So Buster died with that parachute.
And for Buster's final flight, it's time to put Carrie's 6 sheets to the wind.
Look, I like my design, but honestly, I wish I'd thought of Carrie's design. I mean, look at it. It looks like a real modern-day parachute.
Come on, criminal.
It's got a huge amount of surface area, and it's got a vent at the top to direct the air through, so it's going to have great stability. I think this one has a really good chance of saving Buster.
Whoa, that's an atomic wedgie.
I love that harness.
That cannot feel good.
This is curtain parachute in 3, 2, 1.
There you go.
He had a little deployment issue.
Yeah.
Carrie's late deploying chute did decelerate Buster, but he still hit the ground at 160 Gs, well above the lethal limit.
Okay, this is not looking good for the myth. I mean, we looked at the data for all the drops. There's not one survivable fall. We had to start from scratch.
Well, maybe we try different fabrics and pick out the best parts of each of our designs.
All right, well, let's go back to the shop and see if we can figure out how to make a parachute that actually works.
YouTube says yes. The MythBusters say maybe. But can a motorbike really skate the surface of a lake?
I think I might have beat Jamie. Maybe not.
Well, it's time for this myth to surf up or ship out.
Ever since we first started talking about doing this story, we knew, of course, we'd finish on a lake. And we had a very specific list of attributes we considered critical for this lake to have in order for us to have any chance of success. Number 1, the lake needed to be smooth and calm. 2, we needed the land to water transition to be incredibly gentle. And 3, we needed that transition between land and water to be not too muddy. And amazingly, we found everything we need in this lake in Ione, California. And in a few minutes, what looks like a lake may end up, in fact, being a motocross course.
But before Jamie trips the lake fantastic, they first need a rider with some serious grunt and some serious stunt expertise.
Meet Eric McCrummen. What do you think, Eric? Are you up for it?
Sure.
Eric is the designated driver, but there's one last thing to clarify.
The first suspicion everybody has when they see one of these videos, and it was our first suspicion, is maybe he's riding across water that's only an inch deep and we can't see the land because of the camera angle. I am currently standing in the path our motorcyclist is going to take across the water, and it is 38 inches deep in the middle. If that motorcycle makes it across, it rode on the water. That's official.
Yep, it'll be official, but only if it works, which means it's time for the rubber to meet the reservoir.
It all comes down to this. We've done our small-scale testing,
His head fell off.
and we really feel like we're willing to take a risk. Well, Eric is willing to take a risk. He is a real pro, and he is raring to go. We've got 50 feet of water for him to cross, and we're going to find out if that motorcycle can walk on water. Well, he's all set. He's 375 feet away. You want to wave him in?
Let's launch the beast.
It's now or never.
Okay.
Here he comes. Whoa! Ah, that worked!
He totally stayed on top of the water.
That was beautiful. He like parted it like a little Red Sea. That was amazing.
Amazing is right. Remember, the lake is over 3 feet deep, yet instead of sinking, Eric sailed 50 feet at 60 miles per hour. But now, Adam and Jamie want more.
You feel like you could go a little longer?
I think so.
Excellent. I have to say I'm pretty pleased about this so far. Eric successfully just crossed 50 feet of open water, not fake water with land underneath, deep open water, 50 feet on a motorcycle. So now we're gonna cross 100 feet. He's gonna go for 100-foot length of water, and we're just gonna see how far we can get.
Yep, they're doubling down on the dirt bike. But will Eric make it to the other side this time?
I'm excited, 100 feet.
It's time to put our money where our mouth is.
Let's do it.
The pressure is on as Eric revs the bike. Gets it up to 60 miles per hour. And
Wow, yeah!
leaves the lake in his wake.
He was on top of the water.
He was actually, I saw him do this on top of the water. That was beautiful.
It's clear from what we're seeing when this bike goes across the water, it's riding on the water because we can see the wheel is bouncing. It's just like it was when we were on the Speedboat doing our bench test. That means that it's hitting the water and rebounding off of it. It means that we're riding on water.
And that means this myth is well and truly confirmed. But it's not the end of the road yet.
Dude, I believe we have proven that you can ride a motorcycle across the water.
I think we have, but you know, I have a question.
What's that?
Is what is happening there actually due to his momentum, like skipping a stone across water, or is a bike this powerful capable of actually going out like a watercraft and continuing to power its way across the top of the water?
That is a good question.
I want to try it.
Okay.
Pulling the cords on peculiar parachutes is not new. But could you source a successful shoot from your hotel room? After a free-fall, free-for-all, maybe not.
Buster did not survive any of these drops.
So now they want to know if anything in a hotel room could let you down safely.
Since our do-it-yourself parachutes didn't quite give us the results we wanted, we've come back to the shop to do some small-scale experiments. We're gonna test every fabric you might find in a hotel room. I'm gonna make small parachutes, put them on top of a big industrial fan, blow it upwards, and see which parachute is actually going to yield the best results.
Now, our benchmark for this test will be real parachute material. In the end, what we're looking for is the material that best matches a parachute's loft and weight. Oh yeah, and something that can also be found in a hotel room.
Now, instead of having our parachute falling down, we're gonna have it stationary and have the fan blow air up into the chute, acting as if the parachuter were falling. And then we're gonna find out which material has the best wind resistance so we can see which material makes the best parachute.
Yep, it's all about the fabric with the most air resistance, or loft. So with a force meter attached, they fire up the fan for the control. The real parachute.
Hey! All right, it looks good and stable.
1.79 for the control.
So that's our ideal performance.
1.79 is the lift to beat, and the first makeshift chute is the shower curtain.
We're at 1.86. This has better wind resistance than the parachute material.
Then they try the blackout curtain.
2.0.
2 pounds, that is our best performer so far.
And finally, the remaining swatches.
Okay, we've settled at 1.37 for the polyester drape. All right, 1.67 for the cotton sheet. Next.
Okay, looks like we got 1.65.
Canvas curtain, pretty good as a parachute.
That's 5 pocket parachutes and 5 impressive lift results. But that's not all they're looking for.
We have a winner, the blackout curtain. It was the most air resistant and gave us 2 pounds of pulling force. However, the problem here is it's heavy. So what I need to do is weigh each of these parachute materials and see which one is the lightest and has similar air resistance to our parachute material. Ripstop nylon, 2.5 ounces. Shower curtain, 3.55 ounces. Polyester drape, 9.9 ounces. Cotton sheet, 3.65 ounces. Blackout curtain, 8.35 ounces. Canvas, 7.95 ounces. So it turns out the winner is shower curtain. This is what we're gonna build our final parachute out of.
So while the blackout curtain had the most air resistance, the shower curtain was lighter. And that, coupled with its lift, makes it the best material for full scale.
So we've chosen shower curtain as our final material for our parachute. And now that means we have to scale up. Here's how it goes. Gravity over rho, 9.8 meters per second squared. There is 2 times the square root of a diameter equivalent 17.4 feet. Now you could never get that much shower curtain out of one room, but if you had a whole floor, now you're talking.
With a diameter of 17.4 feet, their shower curtain chute is going to be giant. So they've opted for the classic dome design. But making a hemisphere out of square curtains means they need a plan.
This is a little pattern model of what our finished parachute should actually look like. We're actually going to take each of these pieces and make a large pattern out of paper and then construct each one out of shower curtain. Now, it's hard to actually figure the scale till you really see the pattern laid out. This is going to be a huge parachute.
Huge and entirely constructed from shower curtains.
Right foot, pink dots.
Left hand, blue.
Left leg, green square.
I don't like this game.
It's a mammoth task of attaching 24 curtains with duct tape.
If this duct tape doesn't hold, Buster's doomed.
And then cutting out the 6 panels.
Now we stitch them all together, right?
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Now, after actually making our pattern, cutting it all out, I think our original parachutes were a lot more labor-intensive and took a lot longer to put together. I mean, it really seems like this myth might have some credence at this point. That is, if you happen to be staying on a floor with at least 24 rooms you could rob shower curtains from.
Yep, and with all the pieces stuck together.
Is that the pieces? Yeah, that's it. That's the pieces. So we have...
That's it for the main chute.
Now to bring in the reinforcements.
Our next job is to reinforce this hole at the top, which is actually going to bear a large amount of the load.
With a little curtain cord taking up the slack, the last element is the lines.
Almost done.
This is it. Last 2 lines.
And with that, it looks like this canopy caper is all stitched up.
My work.
Shower curtains and duct tape. Who would have thought?
Next stop, 30 stories high.
Cool.
So far in this parachute escapade, for Buster, it's been more high dive than skydive. But will that change with their best case scenario shower curtain chute?
Dude, this is super cool.
We're at the Mare Island Shipyard, where we've been given access to a 50-ton crane. Now, this is going to give us the ability to raise our parachute and Buster 30 stories into the air. We're going to drop him into this dry dock with all his accelerometers and find out if this is going to be an effective parachute.
That's an extra 10 stories to decelerate their shower chute.
Chin up, buddy.
So first, they need a frame of reference at this height with the most successful chute from their previous test.
So you actually have to hire the staff from the hotel to help you jump out of the window?
These are our accomplices.
Really? So you're just gonna leave them all behind?
Once they see this work, they'll probably be happy they didn't jump. All right, go ahead and take it up.
Just like it's dropped from 20 stories,
Oh, boy.
the frame buckles under Buster's weight.
The good news is it's doing exactly what it did last time.
But now it has more time to decelerate.
Okay, this is hotel parachute with the frame in 3, 2, 1. Yeah. Look at that. Hey!
Oh!
Wow! Dang, he hit the ground hard. Well, let's check the data and see if he survived the fall.
Look, I'm not a doctor, but that does not look right.
Yep, and closer examination proves that even from 30 stories, Buster still clocked over 140 Gs on his landing. Clearly, a one-room parachute is a flop, but can a 24-room shower curtain canopy do any better?
It's gonna be a lot of wet floors with all these shower curtains missing.
I think they're gonna bill it back to our room.
This is it, the final experiment to see if you could take materials from your hotel room, make a parachute, jump out and survive. Now, we've taken everything we've learned from our small scale. We're gonna use our shower curtain. We've made a dome-shaped parachute. We put a hole in the top and we have a drag chute. This time we're gonna be dropping from 30 stories to see if Buster will actually survive. This is gonna be so awesome.
Now we know from our initial experiment that without a parachute, Buster's impact can get up to 500 Gs, and that's from 20 stories. The goal for today with our super final experiment shower curtain chute is to get that number down to 100 Gs from 30 stories. The bonus is if we can get that down to 10 Gs, that's a landing you can walk away from.
The team preps the canopy and for stability adds a drag chute.
Now I know what you're thinking, why do you guys have a drag chute? That's no fair. Well, actually, it's my laundry bag and I travel with it all the time.
Then the lines are attached.
I got 9 lines.
All of these are 18 feet long, which should give us the minimum our lines should be so that it opens to the perfect circumference and drops at the most stable rate.
I love your optimism.
Let's take it up.
It's crazy, but a parachute made out of shower curtains and duct tape, I think it's gonna work. Our science is sound, the calculations all work out. It works on paper. I think Buster might actually land safely.
Well, Buster will have to find that out the hard way. Or, if Carrie is right, the soft way. Suspended from 30 stories, it's time for this myth's shower curtain call.
All right, here we go. Shower curtain parachute in 3, 2, 1. Come on. Open, open.
Do you think that might have worked?
Did you see how light he landed? Let's go check the data. Yes.
Initially, Buster was on a crash course, but meters from the ground, amazingly, the shower curtains opened and gently slowed his drop. The question now is, did he survive?
I didn't think it was gonna work, but at the last minute, it worked.
Now what? It was like a break. Like,
Yeah, I think Buster's finally not having a bad day.
got a good feeling about this.
All right, let's see what kind of G-loads he took.
It's up to the numbers now. Oh my God, am I seeing what I'm seeing?
Yeah, that's the peak right there.
4 Gs. He survived the landing without injury.
That's so cool. This is such a beautiful experiment. It was just the perfect drop. Buster's dangling on this 50-ton crane 30 stories up in the air. The quick release lets him go, and he starts falling so fast, and all of us think that this isn't working. And at the very last minute, you hear the sound, boom, and the parachute opens, and he landed softly. Buster survived this fall, which means that we made a parachute out of shower curtains. It's awesome.
Our parachute worked, and the best part is Buster received 4.2 Gs, which means not only did he survived without injury. However, the problem here is he had way more shower curtains than the criminal would have had, way more time to build it, and the criminal didn't have the engineering that we used to make this. So, even though Buster isn't busted, this myth is.
Next, we hook this up to the ironing board and go kite surfing.
Come on.
Woo!
Ugh, I can't pull, it's too strong.
Welcome back. All episode long, we have been testing a story that a motorcycle might just be a viable water vehicle. Seriously. Whoa! And with a motorcycle wheel strapped to the outside of a high-powered speedboat going 70 miles an hour, it really seemed like there might be something to this story. Yeah! So then we got a professional motocross rider, and we gave him 100 feet of open water to cross, and he was able to do it. But now Mr. Heineman has a brand new question. Is the motorcycle skipping across the water on its own momentum, or does it have enough power to continue indefinitely? And Jamie wants to try it.
Yep, while Eric crossed a mere 100 feet, Jamie wants more.
It's a nice flat run.
He wants to see if the bike can get such a grip on the water that he can speed across the entire lake. To do so, he'll literally be putting his life on the line, but not without some modifications. First, the run-up to the water needs to be smoother to let Jamie really let rip.
I think that ought to do it.
Then the bike needs a flotation device, so it doesn't drag him to the bottom if he fails.
I believe I've got enough flotation here to make it float. Maybe.
And finally, a lifeguard team is on standby.
This is where it's all about to happen. But what exactly is going to happen here at the transition between land and water? By the time Jamie reaches this point, he should be going between 55 and 75 miles per hour when he enters the water. Could he just skip all the way across the water to the opposite side of the lake about 3/4 of a mile away? Or could he plant himself right here and just start flying and become his own cautionary Discovery Channel documentary about what not to do?
It's one of the most dangerous experiments in MythBusters history.
Here he comes.
At breakneck speed, Jamie hits the water, and then it's man over bike.
Let's go over to him.
Adam and the medic team rush in,
He's good.
but it'll take more than a 70-mile-an-hour high dive to hurt the Heineman.
You all right, sir?
I'm just fine. I think I did a little bit of a, what is it, a half gainer or something into the water. Definitely no broken bones or anything, so.
Good.
The good news is that Jamie's fighting fit. The bad news is that he traveled only 80 feet, far less than Eric's effort. So what went wrong?
This is one of those cases where if it ain't broke, don't fix it. We added this foam just so that we could retrieve the bike without drowning it afterwards, but it turned out that the spray coming up off of the wheel was providing a certain amount of lift back here, which in turn made more stress on the front wheel, which made it plunge and made me do a somersault. So I'm gonna go back to the original type of bike. We have a second one and have another try.
You heard that right. Jamie's getting straight back on the horse power. And what's more, this time he's upping the speed to 80. But will that allow him to burn Aqua all the way across?
He's good! Beautiful! That was amazing. It seemed to go on forever. Just riding. That's like easily 300 feet or more, buddy. That was amazing.
Piece of cake!
How you feeling?
Relieved it's over and I'm alive.
Incredibly, Jamie hit the water, throttled the throttle, and surfed for over 300 feet. And while he wasn't able to get a good enough grip to carry on across, it's still myth well and truly confirmed.
In case there's any doubt, I'm standing on the bike. It's in about 8 feet of water, maybe. So I was riding on water for about 300 feet.
So, riding a motorcycle across the water, busted, plausible, or confirmed?
Confirmed. Not recommended, but it's confirmed.
Yes, but only for 300 feet.
I was hoping for further.
I'll settle for that.
And so will we. So why not cue the music for a motocross water montage?
That was amazing.